Audible's romance collection has something to satisfy every side of you. When it comes to what kind of romance you're into, you don't have to choose just one. Fancy a dalliance with a duke, or maybe a steamy billionaire. You could find a book boyfriend in the city and another one tearing it up on the hockey field. And if nothing on this earth satisfies, you can always find love in another realm. Discover modern rom-coms from authors like Lily Chu and Ali Hazelwood, the latest romantasy series from Sarah J. Maas and Rebecca Yarros, plus Regency favorites like Bridgerton and Outlander. And of course, all the really steamy stuff. Your first great love story is free when you sign up for a free 30-day trial at audible.com/Wondery. That's audible.com/Wondery.
Hey everybody, and welcome back to In the Mind of Jax Taylor. How's everybody doing? I got a special guest today, Nick Matiash. Did I say that right?
You did it.
Nick Matiash, okay. A relationship coach, author, husband, and father of three, and the creator of The Evolved Man, where he's helped hundreds of men and marriages rebuild trust deep into intimacy and turn their relationships around. A former expert on TLC's 90-Day Hunt for Love, Nick blends emotional intelligence with the real world, accountability, cutting through the noise to help men all around the world show up with strength and intention at home. Hey, Nick, I'm really grateful for you to be here. Honestly, this conversation really does mean a lot to me because, where I am right now in life, it's not about proving anything. It's about, healing and being present and showing up better, especially for my kid. I think that's kind of my goal right now, obviously to help myself, but to be there for my son. I need to get myself better before I can be good for him. So I appreciate the space here to be real with you. How are you, man? How's everything going?
I'm doing well, man. I'm excited to dig in with you, and I appreciate you being real and being raw about where you're at. I think, everybody comes to a place where they've got to figure some stuff out, and if that's where you're at, I respect the hell out of you for wanting to explore it in a genuine way, because a lot of people avoid it as long as they possibly can. So,
well, that's what I've done. I've avoided it as long as I possibly can. And at 46 years old, I had to surrender. My life has it's another one of those words. I have a lot of trigger words, which you'll get to know. I always say trigger word because surrender is one of them. Because I'm so over accountability and trigger, and what is the other one? Lean into, accountability. All these fucking words, and these drive me crazy. Sure. It's so funny. You're on 90. I'm a huge 90 Day Fiance fan. I watched that show. You just shake your head at these people who watch this show. It's just absolutely insane. I've actually become friends with a couple of them. I actually did a reality show with a couple of them from when I was on House of Villains. But anyway, that was interesting. How was that, being on that show?
Well, it was cool. It was a cool experience. I'm not featured all that much because I think the drama is kind of the main character, and I was the relationship expert, trying to not have the drama. So I don't think I was as heavily featured as maybe I assumed I was going to be on the way in. But just going there, and we were in Tulum for a few weeks and trying to help people navigate some relational dynamics while booze and everything is flowing is a little tricky, a little challenging, but in the end, I'm grateful for the experience and being able to be a part of it. That was fun.
Yeah. So let's get into it here. I just want to say, for me, it wasn't one really dramatic moment. It was more of this slow, painful unraveling. I looked in the mirror one day and I realized that I didn't like the person I was becoming, multiple days. I was reactive, emotionally unavailable, and honestly, the numbing myself with the drugs and the alcohol, which was a huge role. Cocaine played a huge role in my life for the last 20 years. Alcohol, basically just to get through the day and to numbing all the shit that I've done in my life. It was just the easier way out. I didn't want to think about it, and I didn't want to unpack all the shit. I was sweeping things under the rug, and I used cocaine. I think cocaine and alcohol is kind of like Febreze. Do you know Febreze? It doesn't fix anything. You're basically masking it for a couple hours while the guests are over, then it goes back to smelling like shit again. That's kind of what cocaine and alcohol was for me. The moment it really hit me is when, I thought about what kind of man is my son going to learn from? And that really, really hits home, because my father was the most amazing man ever. He did everything in his power to make sure that my sister and I had the most amazing life. My parents didn't have the best relationship at times, but they hid it from us so well because all they cared about is their kids. Sure. And I look back now and I'm like, my son is 4 years old, and unfortunately his mother and I aren't together anymore, and we're going through a divorce. And it's killing me inside of all the things that I've done. And I feel like I got to get myself better. And of course I'm doing it for myself, but no, I'm doing it for him. I'm not going to sit there and be like, I need to get myself better. Yeah, I do. But he's my drive, because I don't want, to be honest, I didn't want to be here anymore. I didn't want to be in this world anymore. I was like, if he wasn't here right now, I wouldn't be here. I tell you that right now. So, that scared me more than anything. Sobriety to me started as a decision, but now it's really become a lifestyle. And it's not really about avoiding the bottle and the drug. It's about facing myself every day. Now the hard part is dealing with life raw without the drugs and the alcohol.
Sure.
That's where I'm at right now. And it's not easy.
Yeah, no, I think a couple things that came out in what you just said resonate with a lot of the work that I do. Is one, there's usually an external person to someone that wants to change that kind of drives them to the table, that brings them to the space of wanting to do it. So for you, it's your son. For a lot of my clients, it's their wives, it's their kids. Like, I need to be better for these people. Right. And you kind of, that shame and that guilt of like, I need to figure things out for them starts the process. But I always kind of say, like, it can't always be about them. Like, at some point you're going to have to lock in that this is actually for me, and I need to be better for me, because I need to wake up and be able to look in the mirror and appreciate the person that's standing in front of it, just for my own sake. And you'll get there, I'm sure, along the way. You've kind of had little moments of that, but I think that's why, like, love and relationship is a beautiful thing, because if you do have people around you, kids, wives, whatever, that wake you up to the reality, like, I need to be a better person. Hey, if it gets you started, it gets you started. And then from there, you just got to stay consistent and stay in the game and get to where you need to go from it. But like, I have 3 kids, so like, I can very much resonate with.
You're married, right? Divorced?
I'm married, 3 kids. My oldest son is 4, just like Cruz. And like so his older sister is, she's 7. Then I have a 4-year-old and a 20-month-old. But my 4-year-old is like a mini me. Right. So like, when I look him in the face and I know I'm a flawed human being, like, he is a driving force behind any change that I choose to make too. Like, I've also made the choice to be sober as of probably 60 something days ago, and put the bottle down. So yeah, I'm right there with you in making that decision for myself.
Can I ask, okay, so where did this all, can you give me a little bit of background on you? Where did this all begin for you?
Sure. Yeah. So I started drinking. I didn't have a drop of alcohol throughout all of high school. My friends were, going out and having fun on the weekends. I was a good, quote unquote, good kid. Like, went to school, went to hockey practice, baseball practice, came home, did my homework. Like, I was pretty straight laced. But, around the time of graduating, prom hit, everybody was doing it. And, I was like, all right, it's prom. Why not? But what happened on the other side of that kind of awoke something in me, because everybody, I guess, liked me more. That's how I felt.
That's exactly what I go through.
It kind of felt like
life of the party.
I was the life of the party. I was sillier, funnier than I usually was. People were more drawn to that. Yep. Cool. So it kind of became this cycle of, I didn't feel like I was funny enough, attractive enough, whatever.
I say this all the time.
If I just have a couple beers, I'll be funny. I'll be witty. I'll be more engaged with conversation. People want to be around me. And so that happened when I was 18. I'm about to be 37 next month. So that was literally half my life and it didn't become that or stay that forever, but that started the process for me. Like, it became this excitement of becoming this new version of me, an identity of funnier, sillier, cooler version of me.
It's fun being the life of the party. Like, I have a group of guys, right, that I go out with when I used to go out with all the time. And I was the ringleader, right? I was the lead singer. I always say this. I was the lead singer of the band. Where the party was is where I was. I would bring everybody together. I would have the drugs, the alcohol. I owned a bar. Everything was with me. And I was not, and that's the problem I'm having right now, is I don't even know how to be, am I still funny? Are people still going to like me? Because I've been drinking and doing drugs for so long, and that's what people expect of me. They expect me to fly off the handle. They expect me to act crazy. They expect me to just be loud and outgoing. And I feel like now I'm like, I'm not even the fucking bass player. I'm the guy who puts the drums together before the fucking band starts. Like, I've become that role. Am I okay with it? Sometimes. But when I'm out with my group of friends now, I sit back. I'm a recluse. I don't know how to act. I'm almost like, do you remember Ricky Bobby in Talladega Nights? He didn't know what to do with his hands. That's me when I go to a bar or something now. I don't know what to do with myself. I am so uncomfortable in these situations. I get bored within the first 30 minutes. I got a buddy of mine. We have this thing where we're in and out in 45 minutes. We don't stay longer than 45 minutes. When we see our friends going on to their second drink, we bounce. It's just, I'm not comfortable. I don't mind my friends drinking around me. I don't mind it, but I'm not comfortable with everybody having a good time and getting it lit. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, I'm fucking bored out of my mind. And I just like, I want to like get me out of here. And it takes me everything, because all my friends now, they know that I'm sober. Like they tread lightly around me. You know, they're like, be careful how much they drink and just do this stuff. But I still want to be invited to things. And then when I go to things, I'm miserable. And then they always seem like, I feel like they're like walking on eggshells around me. And I become the guy that I used to make fun of. I used to make fun of sober people. Okay, you know, and they make it a point to tell everybody too. I don't drink. I don't this. I'm sober. I'm like, fuck off, you know? Now I'm that guy. And I'm struggling with it. I'm struggling with my identity right now. I'm having a hard time.
I think the reason I put off finally making that decision was because of that feeling that you're describing of like not knowing who I am in social settings, or when I'm around friends or in a certain space where it's almost an expectation that you're having a good time and you're drinking and all that stuff. Like I didn't know what that looked like because the entirety of my adulthood had been, oh, if I'm going to have a good time, I'm going to have a couple drinks and enjoy myself. Like that's how it works. That's how Nick Matiash shows up and has fun with things. So I would kind of make rules around like when I would drink, and then those rules would get bent a little bit. And then I would just have one beer. My thing, as I've described it to people, is it was kind of me taking the edge off at the end of every night. I was having a beer after my kids would go to sleep, and then it became 2 beers. And then if I had an anxious day, I would have 3 beers. And then if I was watching a Buffalo Bills game, I'm a big Buffalo Bills fan, and they did terribly, I would have more than that. And then it just kind of would go off the rails, and I'd reset. I'd give myself 30 days off, and then I'd dive back in, and it would always end up back in the same place where I was having way too much. And, you know, inevitably about 60 days ago, I woke up. And to my, earlier point of my son looking like me, he's my mini-me. I woke up, he was in my bed after I had spent the night drinking too much and threw up in the toilet and the whole thing. And I woke up and looked this kid in the eye as he slept in my bed. I'm like, I can't show him this anymore. Yeah. Like, so yeah, the exterior people will, whether it's the right thing to do or not, like they start a process for a lot of people where you make a decision that isn't necessarily just for you, but it brings you to the process.
Right.
And at some point you kind of, what's up?
I'm sorry. Go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
I was just saying at some point it has to kind of transition into like, this is for me. And I think I know I'm there now in terms of sobriety. I want to wake up with a clear head every day. I want to not be controlled by the instinct or the desire to go and grab a beer at the end of every night. Like I know I want that kind of autonomy. So it's for me now, but like waking up next to my son that morning after having way too much, I was like, no, can't do it anymore.
I did the same thing. And I've talked about this before. For me, it was, I had my son's doctor's appointment the next morning, and I was fucked up the next morning. I mean, I was okay, but I was still fucked up. And that's when I was kind of like, this is terrible. I'm taking my son to the doctors and I'm still hungover. Like, what is the fucking deal? Like this, I think rock bottom, that word means something different for everybody. For me, rock bottom means you're ready to change. I don't think you're at rock bottom when you're like, oh my God, this can't get any worse. When you're ready to make changes with your life, I think that's when you're at rock bottom. How are you? I know you're 60 days in, which I don't know why I didn't know that, but how are you doing right now? Are you craving any alcohol? Are you okay with it? Do you go to meetings?
I mean, I will say that the day-to-day stuff has not been super challenging. One, I give my wife a ton of credit. She's been super, super supportive of the whole thing. Like, she understands why. She has watched me go through this pattern of saying like, oh, I'll take a break and I'll come back to it. I'll take a break. Yeah. So like, she's seen all of those transitions of me trying to find a healthier relationship with alcohol and just never being able to get my footing. So she like knows that that's the process for me right now. And she'll like hold me to it or check in on me, the whole thing. But I think the day-to-day stuff isn't that challenging. I think the first couple of weeks, it was like almost just a reaction of reaching for something at the end of the day, because that was my habit. Right. But once I broke through that after a couple of weeks, it wasn't that bad. The social stuff is the more challenging side of it for me. And I mean, I've got 3 kids and a wife. We both own our own businesses. Do I go out socially a ton? I don't. But in times where I have, like recently, my buddy rented a party bus and we all went down to a baseball game. And like, we've done this several summers, like we're all dads and husbands now, but like once a summer we'll rent a party bus and go watch a baseball game, and there's drinks on the bus and there's drinks at the game and the whole thing. And I've had a blast. The several years up until this point, this is the first time I was going sober, and I hadn't told any of the guys yet. Like, it was just something that was kind of keeping it in house, trying to keep it more private. And I got there and I had
party bus, man. I mean, you're really putting yourself in a situation at 60 days, throwing yourself on a party bus.
Sure. Yeah. Well, I had a sense that, my friends, although they might give me they bust balls with the best of them, they would understand. So like, I got onto the bus and like, hey, have my little non-alcoholic situations ready to go.
Yeah.
And so like, I just started kind of talking to them about why it was important for me to stop. I kind of been on this cyclical pattern of trying to, like I was saying, build a healthier relationship with it. And I just never nailed it down. So like, it's clearly the easiest decision here, or the best decision, is to just be done. And it was much more, I suffered more thinking about what it was going to be like than it was in the actual day of it. But, those social settings are the more challenging part of it for me.
All right, let's get into relationships, because that's kind of where I'm at a serious standstill right now. Do you know my background a little bit? Do you know what's going on?
I do. Yeah. So I have caught up with your very public eye of
I've done a lot of damage.
Everything that's gone down. So yes, I've witnessed some of that damage. I've seen how things have played out. I haven't seen it in totality up to this point, but I'm aware of most of the moving pieces of it. And you said that you're kind of getting to a place of finalizing the divorce at this point.
We're getting to a place of finalizing the divorce. That's not really my problem right now. It's just the issues that I have are fixing these just, I don't even want to call it broken bridges. I mean, just there are no bridges anymore. It's so much damage that I've caused during my marriage, especially towards the end. Drinking and drugs playing a major role into all this. But just the verbal abuse that I caused, that I did, I'm trying to fumble my words a little bit, and I'm working on myself now. My goal is to get to a good place with the mother of my child, and I'm trying to fix that, but I'm trying to fix myself. I'm trying to do what people are telling me to do, but I'm also trying to fit in again to where I don't even know who the fuck I am anymore, because like I said, I was the guy who goes to these parties who, oh my God, we're going to invite Jax. We got to invite Jax. He's the one that makes all this happen, right? So now it's like, I don't even know where I fit in anymore. I don't know if I'm liked anymore. I don't know if I'm needed anymore. I feel so fucking lost, especially with my ex, who that's my main priority right now, is to fix that. To get to I don't need to fix it totally, but I need to get to a point to where she can be like, we don't get along, and I don't really necessarily care for that asshole, but I do respect him, and I do. Sure. He is the father of my child, and I know he will be good for him. What can you give me some suggestions on where I can go with this? What do you think I should do?
Honestly, man, I think I've tried to simplify this as best as I can over the years of doing this into like rebuilding trust, rebuilding relationship. And to your point, like it's not necessarily saving the marriage at this point. It's trying to build rapport and respect. You guys are going to be co-parenting, and you want to make sure that.
But how do I do that when, she's kind of like, you need to do the work and this and this and that, and which I am, but she can't see that. So it's like I'm putting all this work in, and she's still angry about the past, and she doesn't know what I'm doing. I'm constantly trying to prove to her. And I don't want to call her up and be like, okay, I did this today. I went to an AA meeting today. I went to this today, and I got 3 weeks in today. I'm constantly trying to prove to her, because everything in my life, I quick fix it. How much money can I throw at this to make this go away? What can I do to make this go away? How do I fix this? Okay, I'll fix this. This is one thing in the 46 years of my life that I can't quick fix. I just can't.
Sure. You can't.
And it's going to be an issue for the rest of my life. I'm going to have to work the rest of my life. And I just don't know where to begin. Like, how do I fix what I've done?
So here's, I guess, my advice, or my point to that is, to your point, that it's not a quick fix. Can never be a quick fix. All it ever will be is, a long timeline of evidence where she can finally turn over from seeing you as the villain to seeing you as someone who was a villain but has chosen a different path forward. It doesn't happen overnight, doesn't happen after a couple months. It usually happens over, again, a lengthy timeline of having some credibility there. I've explained it to my clients as like you're basically making a down payment on like some reverse credibility by putting in the work now, doing it, and showing up, not necessarily for her approval, but just so that in time, let's say 6 months from now, a year from now, she sees that, you know what, he was a man of his word for this long. And I had doubts when he was saying he was doing this or that, because in the past, based on evidence she had previously, maybe there was some of the inconsistencies. The words never matched the actions, right? So maybe she's got, just her nervous system's in a place of doubt and fear of, is this the real thing?
Yeah.
And you kind of have to accept that from where you're at and say, like, you're right, you shouldn't trust me yet, and like be candid about that. You don't have a reason to trust me because of X, Y, and Z, and I get that. I see.
Well, the problem is like I can live with that, but knowing that I have a child and he's with her full time, I miss my son so much, and I don't get to see him as much as I like because of everything that's going on, and that's kind of why I'm trying to not hurry along the process, but show her, be like, please, like my son is part of my healing. I need him. Like he's why I'm here, and. It kills me that she can't see that, you know what I'm saying? And that's kind of, if it was just her and I'd be like, well, it just doesn't matter. She'll see it over time. But I think it's because I have a son and I need him in my life for me to survive, and he needs me. And I know I can't be selfish. I know I need this time to heal, and I don't think he should be with me full time because I don't think I'm mentally capable of that yet. I think I have a lot of work to do on myself.
Sure.
But it's just frustrating. And it's like, my life is so out there, and, we have people chiming in on what they think and what they do. And I'm just so lost on these things.
And dude, like the fact that you mentioned your son, and I completely understand where you're coming from. I get it. And again, my oldest son is the same age as your kid.
And my son's autistic too.
Oh, okay.
So, that's another layer. That's another layer. He doesn't, and he's the most amazing, lovable kid ever. He's just such a delicious kid, and he's going to be good. He's just a little delayed on some things, but it's another struggle. It's another thing on top of that, that she's got to deal with a lot of this by herself. And I hate that. I hate that so much. I want us to get to a place to where we can work on this together. He needs both of us right now. So important.
Yeah. Honestly, man, I know it's hard to kind of contextualize because you're so in the moment and you want it to happen as soon as possible.
Yeah.
But if, let's say, you go hard and you dig in, you uproot some of these things, you start to get to a place better mentally, physically, emotionally, the whole thing, and then you're locked in and you're ready to be in this kid's life forever. Once you're at a spot where she feels like it's okay to do that, and you've kind of built that credibility, awesome. But if you rush that process, if you try to get to a place of quote unquote healing and almost kind of do it for the surface level for Brittany and say like, hey, like, everything's good, but it isn't good. You're not there yet. You're probably going to end up riding this roller coaster over the next several years, 5-10 years of in, out of his life, because you haven't really nailed it down.
Yeah.
So like if you zoom out and look at the big picture of, your mission here is to be a big part of Cruz's life and make sure that he has that father figure. He has two parents that are working, for him and with him, despite not being together. I think the intentional work now, despite the frustration that we're not currently where we want to be,
right,
becomes really important. And it's not to win the game right now. It's like, this is a lifetime that I'm trying to build with this kid and co-parent with his mother. That means I need to really dial it in now so that the trust is legitimate. Like you could promise and you could say things and you could do, and
I've done that.
a month of therapy and then say like, I'm good to go. But if things aren't truly like good, and that in your heart, like you're not in a space where you can really be reliable, consistent, and all of that, like it doesn't mean that you're not moving in the right direction. It just means that you just need more time to let it kind of marinate and become what it needs to be, so that when it is time, that door swings open. Okay, now I can be full-time dad. And I can really dial in. I can take care of this kid in the way that I couldn't have if I tried to do it kind of half-assed. So, I know being lost, feeling lost, not knowing what to do.
A lot of blame too. I used to blame a lot of people for everything else. I played the blame game. Well, they're doing it and they're doing this, and that's not that big, you know. And that was a huge thing. That was a thing to overcome when I was in therapy. I got to stop blaming everybody else. Who gives a fuck about everybody else? Work on you, you know? Like, it's your life, not everybody else's life, you know? And I had an issue with that. And I did it on TV, and it was embarrassing to watch back. Like, who gives a fuck about what everybody else is doing? Worry about yourself, man. You're a 46-year-old father. What are you playing these stupid games for?
Sure.
What are some tips that you could give our listeners, whether it's men or women that are listening, that find themselves at that point in their marriage where they are just completely lost their connection with each other?
All right, let me think on that. I don't want to shoot from the hip on you here. They've completely
And let me
lost.
ask you, how can couples prevent that from happening, basically, but also what can they do while they're in that state of feeling disconnected?
So my process when I come up to a couple and they've, you know, there's some level of disconnection, more often than not, I'm saying, like, I've worked with close to like 1,000 couples or people in committed couples, right? So a lot of sample size, you could say. Almost every single time, it is not a lack of attraction, respect, love, admiration for each other that keeps them disconnected. It is just all the bullshit in between that keeps them at an arm's length. That could be resentment, that could be past frustration, past hurt that's never been addressed, all of that stuff. So sometimes it feels like the easy path, like, oh, just go on a date every week and you'll get back to a place of connection, or have a meaningful conversation once a week, you'll get back to it. My process is more so like, let's look at the ugly stuff, say I'm sorry where we need to say I'm sorry, take ownership for the things that we need to take ownership for, and talk about the things that have hurt us, so that we can really, like, if you think of it as two people sitting at a table, if they have this blockade of resentment between them, you could give them all the tools and tactics you want. It's not going to work unless we drop that blockade, get rid of the resentment, get rid of the frustrations.
That's
all of
a problem.
Stuff.
That's a problem, because even if you want to start over, and this kind of goes along with my next question, even if you want to start over, you still have that resentment, you still have that anger, and all it takes is, like, okay, if you're rebuilding it, it takes one slip up. Whether, you know, I forgot to do something, I forgot to grab the groceries, I left the cupboard open, I left the milk out, and then it spirals into something that I did. Oh, this just goes back to how you used to be. It's like people, no matter how hard you want to say, okay, we're not going to bring it up anymore, it always gets brought back up again, and it kind of goes like in the long lines of you know, you speak a lot about the rebuilding of trust, basically. If a partner is unfaithful, do you think it's possible to rebuild the trust within the relationship? Do you think, me personally, and I'm going to give you I think once you cheat, it's over. That's me. That's me. Okay. What do you think you're able to, because we do have a friend in our group, on our show, that they're going through that right now. You know, Sheena and Brock, he was unfaithful to her while she was pregnant. And I personally, now that I think about this, I think it depends on the couple, and it's up to the couple. It's not about what we think they should do. If it works for them and they trust each other, great. Then who are we to say in other words? I'm saying for me personally, and this is weird because I've cheated on a lot of my girlfriends, I don't think you can ever get back to the normal state. And I don't think sometimes it's about going back to the normal. I think, can you live with what you've done, and can you learn from it? What do you think?
So if you would have asked me before I became a relationship coach, I probably would have opted for, like, cheating is the deadly sin and everything's over afterward because it can never go back. And like, it makes sense to me, but I've watched and witnessed too many couples figure it out afterward to kind of put a blanket statement on it and say, like, it's just end game if that happens. I think what gets lost in the mix is, and to your point, like, it is dependent on the couple. I think one approach that there's a misperception about, let's just say the guy cheats, right? Guy cheats on the girl. I've had so many clients come to me, I've had so many people come to me and say, well, she told me that I need to fix it because I broke it, and she doesn't want to deal with any of it until that's happened, right? Like, I'm not, and basically she's not a part of that process at all. That was kind of the I guess the communication that I was receiving, and that is, she's not willing to come to the table. I have to fix what I broke. I think the only way that you can come back from infidelity is if both parties sign up to say, we're going to figure this thing out together, despite the pain that's in the room with us, because it doesn't matter how much, again, let's say guy cheats. Doesn't matter how much work he puts in, he works on himself. He says I'm sorry. He chooses to do things differently. He changes jobs. If it was a coworker, he could do all of that stuff.
Right.
But if there's still resentment, if there isn't an acceptance, if there's no forgiveness whatsoever, that thing is going to keep coming up every 6 months, every year, every 3 months. And it's not to say that that person is wrong for holding on to that pain. They're justified in holding on to that pain if it hurt. But don't be in a relationship. Don't try to make the relationship work if that's going to continue to be a pain point. So both parties, both the betrayed and the betrayer, like, need to kind of look at each other and say, this sucks.
Right.
And, and
it can't be brought back up again. Like, if you're going to say, hey, listen, we're going to work on this and make that commitment, do you agree that it cannot be brought back up again? Like, you can't throw it in their face? Because that's easier said than done.
For me. Because the thing is, the quote that I come back to often is, like, they can forgive, but they can't forget. Like, their nervous system won't let go of it. They're not going to let go of it. It's burned into their memory what they felt and what they saw and all the stuff that came with that. So is it going to come back up? It's inevitable. It's how does it come back up? Is it coming back up in every conversation just to make sure that I'm weaponizing it against you and making sure you feel small in this relationship? Yeah. That's not okay. Is it coming back up because you cheated on me and now we're driving past the restaurant that I saw you two in and I'm feeling something about that?
Yeah.
That's an appropriate time to bring it back up because, like, I'm feeling something due to the actions that have harmed our relationship and I feel like you need to be a part of that with me. I think that's fair. But if it's coming up in every conversation and kind of becoming this black hole, that's a sign that we're not doing the healing process correctly.
For me too, and this is just getting in my head, when intimacy comes along, when there's intimate issue, when you're intimate with the person after you cheated and then you're intimate again, there's that elephant in the room. Like, you're comparing yourself to this person, or you're competing, or are you thinking about it, or, like, that part to me would get in my head. Like, this person was with somebody else intimately. This person was with my person. Where's their head now that they're not with? You know what I'm saying? Like, I would feel small. Yeah. I would feel like that's the problem. I think where I can't come back from is the intimacy part. Like, how can I get there again and be in love with this person and share intimate times with person after they shared intimate time? This was my person, and now somebody else got to use my person. Sure. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. And I think what's important is, like, once you pass over the threshold of infidelity, you're not going back. You can't go back to the same relationship. You almost have to treat it as if this is a new person in my life. There was no shared connection beforehand, because the shared connection beforehand led to whatever broke us, whatever separated that with infidelity. So whatever we're trying to create moving forward, it is a burial of the past. It is moving past all the pain that currently is here. And we're going to really be intentional about what is the future version of us look like, that it's probably not going to look a whole lot like it used to, because there's clear patterns that led to some kind of breakage.
So for me, it was insecurity. I was insecure. I was insecure, and I was self-sabotage and insecurity. Every time I've cheated through my life with girlfriends, it was insecurity and self-sabotage. And that's all it was. It had nothing to do with me. I've never once, in the times that I've cheated, was like, I wanted to be with that person. It was nothing. Sure. It was just to hook up, and that was it. I never wanted anything to do with that person that I cheated on with. Does that make sense? Like, it was never like, I love her and I want to be with her and I know she's the one. It was a one-time thing and I went back. So it was never like, is there a difference between cheating with somebody that you want to be with or cheating with somebody that you just wanted to hook up with and that's it? Is there a difference?
I mean, there's definitely a difference. And I think certain versions of infidelity are going to be on a scale from easy to hard. Easier to get over, because if it is a one-off situation and there was no emotional connection, it was just something that...
Would you be more hurt by, for instance, okay, you were in the situation where your significant other cheated on you. Was it a one-time thing or an affair? What would be worse in your opinion? And
the affair.
The affair. Could you personally get over the affair, or would it be easier for you to get over the affair or get over the one-time thing? I can't get over either. Personally, I think they're both bad, but I'm just curious what you think.
I mean, if I had to choose between those two, I would venture to guess I would find a way to get through the one-off.
Right.
The affair would be very difficult. I think even just having an emotional connection to someone other than myself in the way that she has an emotional connection to me would shatter me.
Yeah.
Even if there isn't any physical contact from that.
How are you supposed to be physical with somebody after an affair? How do you get to that point again where you're like, I'm in love with this person. I can't wait to go to bed with this person. I can't wait to be intimate with this person. I can't wait to share stories. How do you get to that point again where, I mean, it's got to take tremendous amounts of work and time. And then even then, you're still going to hold it over their head. Even years go by.
Sure. I mean, it's a very interesting dynamic that happens after D-Day, as they call it, when infidelity comes out into the light. Is I've had couples that have gotten more intense with their intimacy because the person that was betrayed felt like, if I don't do this, if I don't show up in this way, he's going to keep straying. They're going to keep straying from this relationship. So they almost intensify. That's an interesting reaction I've seen. I've seen it go completely, quiet, no intimacy whatsoever. I think because intimacy comes from a very deep level of vulnerability in a long-term relationship, there's going to have to be some really like gut-wrenching conversations and healing that come from that in order for any intimacy to be sustainable. Mm-hmm. Because there's no way to feel connected to that person and want to continue to do that if that elephant remains in the room and actually isn't talked about. So it's a long road for sure, but some people choose to walk it, and I mean, hey, more power to them.
You talk a lot about emotional discipline for guys, like me trying to stay grounded through the tough times that I'm going through. What's the real work you think I need to do?
So honestly, man, it is the habitual practice of taking care of how you're doing internally. It's not letting it boil over and become this mountain of a problem. It's routinely showing up to things like journaling, meditation, routinely going to therapy, having spaces in which either independently or with a professional of some kind, opening up that inner part of yourself and working out what's in there. I've kind of likened it to the analogy of like, if you ate a large pizza for dinner every single night for a year, all by yourself, at some point you're going to walk past a mirror and you're going to say, holy shit, I'm fat. I've gained a lot of weight because I've been eating this pizza every single day by myself, right? You can see it, and therefore you're like, I need to change something. But our inner selves, we don't see that. Like it eats at us, and we don't have any physical, tangible evidence of us needing to let some of that out and figure it out. So by journaling and having like a therapist or like meditation, these practices, not something you're doing as a one-off, but something you're doing routinely, helps you flush out some of the stuff that's going to cause you to erupt, if you will. Like the way I came about this and why it became so important to who I am, but also about, what I do. My oldest, she's 7 now, but when she was born, she was very colicky. I don't know how it was for your son, but like super colicky for 3 months. Couldn't put her down. She hardly slept, yelled at us, screamed at us, cried at us whenever we were trying to do anything, right? So I built a lot of tension in my body because I'm like, I'm failing as a father. I'm failing as a partner because my wife is stressed. Like all of this internalized stuff. 3 months in, I was having a hard time putting my daughter to sleep. I asked my wife to help me out. She took care of it, got her down for sleep. I went down to my kitchen and I was like, I just need to gather myself. I inhaled, and then as I exhaled, I just bawled. Fetal position, cried my eyes out for like 5 minutes because I had all this tension inside of me. But what was wild was when I was done doing that, I felt better. I finally had gotten this monkey off my chest, this feeling of I'm not good enough or whatever. I got all that tension out of my body, and I realized in that moment, I'm like, releasing my emotion and getting rid of it, not getting rid of it, but like being able to let it flow through my body. That was really helpful. And so after that, I was like, I have to stop waiting for it to crush me, and I have to do it incrementally. So I would every single day spend 20 minutes journaling. How are you doing today? How are we feeling today? What are judgments that I have against myself? What's true? What's not? Genuinely sitting with myself, hiring coaches, hiring therapists so that I have people to kind of be a mirror to me and talk through what I'm going through so that I didn't let it keep building up, because that buildup is what causes, especially men, because we've been taught our entire existences. Like, I don't want to hear you cry about it, toughen up. keep powering through. Like that's the mentality that a lot of us walk around with.
Well, that's because that's the way our fathers taught us. And it's nothing against our grandfathers and our fathers, but that's how we were raised. We don't talk about our feelings. We're men. We suck it up and we put the weight on our shoulders. That's just how we grew up.
Sure.
And I say this all the time. It wasn't until about between 5 and 8 years ago that men started fucking talking about mental health and saying the cliche words, it's okay not to be okay, whatever.
Sure.
And I'm going to break that cycle too. I'm going to allow my son to talk about whatever he wants. In my household, we didn't talk about that. And it's not, like I said, nothing against my dad. He was just trying to raise a tough guy and, and be able to, listen, toughen up because you're going to have to be a man someday and do all that, which, like I said, that was the way we thought back then, but it's too much. It's too much. And I just feel like no one checks in on us. Nobody checks in on the guys all the time. Let me ask you one thing. Before you got sober, what were you doing before you got sober as far as job-wise?
Doing this.
So did you feel, and I no disrespect at all. Did you feel guilty at all that you're doing your job, your mental health, and that you have an issue with drinking? Did you think it coincided? Were you like, oh my gosh, I'm trying to help people, but I'm also, I have an issue with the drinking. Are people going to take me seriously? Did you have an issue with that at all? Did you think, this is conflicting? Did you end up going to therapy? Is therapy important to you?
Therapy is definitely important to me. I am not currently I have a coach that works with me. So he's kind of more outside of just the therapeutic lens of things. He's more holistic than just that. But anyway,
you prefer the coach rather than the therapist?
I do, because I think they have a little more flexibility to be real, raw, and direct.
Okay.
Therapy, at least in my experience, was more open-ended and like, how are you feeling? And let's talk about how things are.
Okay.
So anyway, but to your question about, did I basically feel inauthentic?
Inauthentic, yes.
I mean, my company is called The Evolved Man. Like I'm the guy that worries or like figures out his emotions and knows how to be and all of that stuff. And there is a part of me that absolutely had this imposter syndrome around emotions specifically, as we were just talking about that, because I knew that it was important, and I do and did and still do process my emotions fairly regularly. But at the same time, I knew deep down the reason that I reached for a beer at the end of every night was because I was stressed or I was tense. And instead of taking a healthy approach to dealing with that on a daily basis, I found the cheap version that I could just put into my veins right away.
Yeah.
So I wasn't living my full truth of like the value of processing your emotions, because I still had a crutch. I still had beer or whiskey at the end of most nights. So what's
great? I don't mean to cut you off, but what's good about this, like same thing with me too, is I'm a public figure, right? I've been on TV for a while, and coming out with, you see these people on TV, you see people have jobs like yours, you're like, okay, they live this perfect lifestyle, they've done everything, and then when we do have an issue such as drinking and drugs, they're like, wow, they're real human beings too. Like they're going through it too, and how is he getting through it? And like, wow, the fact that he's out there talking about his problems and his issues when he is a public figure like ourselves, what we do for a living, that's a huge deal. You're seeing this out there like, wow, if this guy does this for a living and he's having an issue with drinking and stuff, I'm like, I want to listen to this guy. I really want to pay attention to what he has to say, because shit, he's putting it all out there. He doesn't have to do that. He could lie to us and say nothing's going on and keep doing what he's doing. But he chose to like talk about what he's going through, even though this is his business. I mean, that's an amazing thing. And I feel like I'm doing the same thing, because people, the more I come out with this, the more I talk about it, the more I break and vulnerable, the people really, I think are coming around and being like, wow, that's really inspiring, because like I said, you watch people and you think, wow, they have no issues. We have a lot of fucking issues. I have a lot of fucking issues. And I think the more I talk about them, it resonates with a lot of people. And I think they like that. And it sounds like, okay, I feel good about this now, because I was really scared. I'm not going to lie to you. I was really scared to come out with all this, to go on Us Weekly and come out and be like, on the cover of Us Weekly, drug problem, this and this and that. That's a huge deal. I was very scared. How are people going to accept this, or what's the feedback I'm going to get? I was very, very nervous. So to put that all out there, I mean, did you feel good about it? Were you happy about it? I mean, was there positives?
Like I was saying, I kind of kept it close to the chest for a little while, I wanted to get past certain checkpoints, like 30 days. I had given myself 30-day breaks here and there. Like once I got past 30 days and I kept going, I was like, okay, I think this is for real. And then I would start telling people, or I like ran into my friends, we went on that party bus or whatever, and started to kind of share that a little bit in my content as well. I have found in sobriety, but also just in being real about other things, whether it be about my relationship, about, fatherhood, because I'm certainly not a perfect father. There are times that I'm not, the evolved man with my kids because I'm stressed and hey, life comes at you. But living from a place of integrity of like, listen, I'm human, and these are the things that I struggle with, has been the most freeing thing. Is it going to turn some people off? Is it going to move them in a different direction? Maybe they thought a certain thing about me. Like, cool.
Yeah, but I would want to listen to a guy like you that's like does preach this, but oh my God, he had a hiccup in life. He had a like, you are a human being. You're not perfect. And that goes for everybody else out there who thinks everybody's got podcasts on topics. We are not perfect. They're not and I hate to tell you, they're not perfect either. And the fact that you come out and say, hey, I'm struggling with this, even though I'm preaching about it, I struggle with it too. Let's work together. Let's help each other out. Let's talk about it. It's so nice when you see a strong alpha male, a strong father, and show his weaknesses. It's just something about the vulnerability that I want to connect with.
Well, yeah, I mean, it goes back to what I was saying about like intimacy in a romantic relationship. People feel connected when people are vulnerable and real and human. And if there's a layer of protection, whether it be you living in the public eye, me, I mean, I'm not on the public eye in the way that you are, but on social media, I have decent following. People like tune in and watch my stuff. And I think I've had clients come through and they'll be like, listen, man, I talked to 3 or 4 different people like you, but you talk like me, you cuss like me, you talk about your flaws. And I needed to hear that so that I could know that I was connecting with a human and not just like a cookie cutter process. Like I needed to know that there was someone behind that. And I was like, okay, it gave me almost a little bit of like a permission slip to be like, you know what, this is good to continue doing that rather than trying to put it all together in this fancy package suit of this is the perfect me and follow me, please. So yeah, there's definitely value in living raw, although it is uncomfortable.
It's so raw. Sure. And I talked about this in other podcasts, like how hard it is to live life raw and to live life without on drugs, alcohol, pills, anything like that. It's extremely tough. I'm going to wrap this up here. So we're gonna move quickly here. This is, I mean, how do you coach men through the identity shift that comes with letting go of the ego, which is really big for us men? Sure. And it's somewhat of a quick answer. How do you coach men of letting go of egos, which is tough for me? It's tough for me. How do you do it?
Well, honestly, I think the approach that I take is the ego isn't serving you. It's serving your perception. It's serving, what other people think of you. But at the end of the day, trying to uphold, and you can probably attest to this too, to uphold the perception that you've created for other people is exhausting.
It really is.
My approach to like letting go of the ego is understanding like exactly what's happening here, how much energy we're putting into the facade. If we could just let go of that for a minute, talk about and figure out our own stuff, and go ahead.
I don't want to cut you off because I have a thing going on in my head here. The reason I've been this character on TV for so long.
Sure.
And now that I have to make this change at 46 years old, I'm worried that people aren't going to like me anymore. I'm worried that I'm not going to be as entertaining and people aren't going to want to see me anymore. They're like, well, we didn't tune in for this. We didn't tune in for Jax to be boring and agree with everybody and kind of taking the back seat. We tuned in for the spiraling and all this. And then I talked to the people like, no, they want to see the change. You're a 46-year-old father. Like, it's not cool anymore to be off the fucking hinge and off the rails and just acting like an idiot. And I struggled with it. I struggled with it, like, because I'm trying to be comfortable in my own skin with being this new person. It's hard for me. I'm still struggling today. Yeah. I'm learning to take the back seat. It's just, I've been the front runner, the lead singer of the band for so long that I don't know how to be the guy who drives the bus. And that's what I want to be. I want to be that guy, but I'm just so struggling with it. And I'm sorry, go back to what you're saying, but I've been living this facade. I think
what you just said is really important to note is like, the people that you lose along the way by letting go of your ego, becoming more of who you actually are, they were never your people in the first place. They were addicted to who you presented yourself as. And hey, like that happens with all of us. But if you shift into who you actually are, the people that stick around or the people that find you when that happens, like those are your ride or die.
Yeah.
Those are the people that you're going to ride with for the rest of your life. The people that you can count on, not the ones that are just here because you're on TV, not the ones that are just here because you can do this or that for them, or your presentation of yourself can do this or that for them. Like stripping yourself of all of that, the people that are left over, probably going to be less people. Let's be frank.
And that's okay.
But the thing is, those people that are left over, I've talked about this with my wife a little bit, is it's a great filtering system, because the people that come through that process with you or join you after that process is done or as it's in process, like those are the ones that you wanted around you in the first place. Mm-hmm. You just put on a show trying to get attention and trying to get people around you for a long time. All you had to really do was be yourself and accept that, yes, it's less people, but these people are the ones that I want to be around in the first place.
Yeah, and learning from my mistakes and not making the same mistakes over. All right, I'm going to do a rapid fire questions because we got to wrap this up here. Really short answers. What's one thing most men think that makes them strong but really weakens them?
A lack of emotion.
Lack of emotion. What's a daily ritual or habit you swear by, something that keeps you centered no matter what life throws at you?
All right, I'm going to give you a quick combo, like 10 minutes of movement and 10 minutes of meditation.
Wow, people keep saying the meditation thing. I'm more of a get up in the morning, coffee, make my bed, brush my teeth, check my email. I have a structured set that I have to do. So I like that one. What's one question every man should ask himself every morning?
Am I being honest with myself?
Am I being honest with myself? I like that one. So Nick, I want to close with this. If someone listening right now feels like they're failing as a dad, as a partner, or as a man, what's the first thing you would tell them to do when they get off this podcast?
I would encourage them to take radical responsibility for anything that they're aware that they've made poor choices about. Take ownership of those things and be candid about that with the people that are connected to them, wife, kids, whatever. And then wake up every single day moving forward, choosing to be a different person than the guy that made those mistakes.
I love that. Thank you so much for being here. I really, really appreciate it. Nick, where can we find you?
You can find me on TikTok. You can find me on Instagram at Nick Matiash, and pretty much on all platforms in that fashion. But yeah, go ahead and find me.
Anything else you want to plug?
Nothing right now. I should have came more prepared with things to plug, but I'm just living life as a dad and a father and a husband right now.
That's okay, man. That's exactly what it's all about. And I appreciate you being here again, Nick. Yeah. I really, really do. And I hope you can come back again soon. We'll end it right there. Thank you so much for being here. That's In the Mind of Jax Taylor. We'll see you guys again next week.